So, Buddha, yo, 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 bo. Well, it's time to enter Avi's neighborhood. My neighborhood. I am a neighborhood. The grass is always greener when you're smoking it. It is the greatest antidepressant for me, and I really don't get high. My daughter told me endlessly, Daddy, whether you haven't smoked in a week or you just smoke 2 bowls, no one knows the difference because your behavior for those 10 years that you never smoked weed when I was a child is exactly the same, Dad. Now, I used to get high. Like, to this day, I still think the weed that David Crosby called pullover weed of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Like, my first 2 years with weed, but I'm 13 to 15 in there, was before I ran away from home. It was, I don't know. It was just so never like that again. I used to think maybe there was PCP in it. I don't know. Young body, the spirits. I don't know, the newness of everything. My father just died. I'm being molested. Like a lot of shit's going on. My brother's MIA because he's working 200 hours a week to try to follow in my daddy's orthopedic shoes, which would have been impossible. Not about the orthopedic. My father was just some kind of, I don't know, like beyond a hero. Like really. A hero in orthopedic shoes. 5'6" stocky. Anyway. Insane mother. From my reading, paranoid schizophrenia is excessively genetic. I think it's just spirits. But the point is the clustering within families of the predestinations of the gods use the genetic guidelines as the blueprints within our DNA, that every fingerprint is different from the beginning of time. That's true. Like, that's like the law of gravity, right? So, everything dies. Those, I don't know what the word would be, but I have no idea. I'll say 25% of all humanity from the beginning of time kind of knew that there were other frequencies other than everything that was logical, pragmatic on Earth, no matter how simple the civilization might have been just for the hardships of Mother Nature, so to speak, just made survival like your full-time job. And so even from that to the most complex civilizations, we'll say 25% kind of just, no matter what whether it was their religious beliefs or they were so driven to science, kind of like Einstein, just knew there had to be something. I always want to, like, I just put it this way. Earth, in my estimation, with all the endless suffering, conflict, and because my great-grandfather was a rabbi, and that played major role in my life. And my point is that in Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9, is the Tower of Babel. And everyone has their take. I have my DNA take. But I see myself as a walking Tower of Babel. Just a miniature, tiny Kutala. I think anyone that's paranoid, schizophrenic is, or biblically demon-possessed, or whatever you want to, it don't matter. Some believe that the engine of the Mercedes that gets into a terrible car accident, the car itself, and the engine is damaged and can be repaired. That's a very three-legged parable for when you need four legs. But those that just hold to the fact that we can fix ourselves, that would be where borderline personality disorder comes in, with the intensity of just endless post-traumatic stress disorders, because the point is, it just builds and builds, and no one really gets it. Like, you can't have, it's all groovy to have a life coach, but when you're dealing with whether it's pure genetics, because I have atheistic psychiatrists that are watching this that just think if you believe in God, you're totally delusional. And they look at it fully as blueprints, DNA. But I didn't get back to my humorous thought that popped into my head yesterday, I think. So I'm always in conflict. And I'm going to say, you hear the expression, this is about atheists and people that believe in the supernatural. They believe that the supernatural created this place. And they all argue, I don't know how atheists are among themselves about the origins. I don't know that world too well. But anyway, I'm talking about in philosophy, all right, anyhow. So the Big Bang Theory, like you hear the lesser of two evils. Like, I would say the lesser of believability, just believability, is the Big Bang Theory. And the fact that they're supernatural, we are really just peons of creation. I mean, there's just endless allegories for that. Like, I believe we are created AIs that are given intensified feelings. We're just advanced computers. That's one idea. I wouldn't have a problem if one of the religions were 100% right. But I don't really believe that. But I'm ecumenical. I'm the Tower of Babel. I believe that God purposely, and God, I don't know, I will say the creators and the maintainers of Earth, because that's kind of what we know about, and it surely has never worked. And I don't believe the gods wanted it to. But I think we're just so limited. Like at the end of the day, I grew up with German Shepherds. And they basically were the greatest 3-year-olds in the world. All of them. And once they were a year old, they were all 3 years old. It was just astounding for someone like me. And we just had litters after litters. The issue is, these German Shepherds were brilliant, bright, feeling, compassionate. Oh my God. All the no love, the evil. That my mother was paranoid schizophrenic with an endless amounts of money, like some kind of mommy dearest, but just, it doesn't matter. That history is not important. The history is I am paranoid schizophrenic. And when I asked my Jewish brother when my mother died, I said, I was crazy. And I met my brother so he could give me some money to fly down and kind of be a support to our stepfather. And I just knew it was the right thing to do, and I had to go anyway. I was so fucked up, way beyond my mother. I was towards the end to turn the frown around. But anyhow, I remember meeting my brother. I was in a van that was donated to turn the frown around. I met him in this parking lot in Livingston. That's what I call Livingston, New Jersey. Livingston. Middle to upper middle class Jews and upper class Jews. Like, it's just bizarre. It's just kind of, in my book, I just made them all fucking hate me in this next statement. But if I was generalizing, which is never fair, Livingston, New Jersey, we're a very narrow-minded, abrasive governor came from Republican Christie. But he was odd that he was a Gentile. Anyhow, my point is about these Jews is they're like the gathering of the golden calf remnants that succeeded. Well, I am the diarrhea that comes out of their asses. Because I have no money. It all stopped with my mother, but that's not important. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm trying to I'll probably just get to this anecdote at 1331. That's pretty cosmic to see that at that moment. But here's my cock-a-doodle-da, if I can ever remember and get to it. So, anyway, I got sidetracked on Livingston. But I grew up, my dad loved God. We had Bible studies. Like, my dad wanted to be his grandfather, which was my great-grandfather in the old country. Like, we're talking Fiddler on the Roof kind of stuff. Like, bizarre. And my dad loved God and loved being a Jew. And he knew to be a Jew, you got to love everybody. Like that, he just took all the real, we moved from Orthodox to conservative simply because my dad had to be more inclusive, and he was convinced that Israel was punished for their lack of compassion. And they really went over after idolatry because it wasn't about, I just want to fit in. I don't want to really be a Jew anymore. I'm like an Amish, and I want to break all that and go out and be the world. No, it was the selfishness of going, like I want to have all this fun and me. And God always punished Israel for their selfishness. God just always, like people point out that the Rabbi Jesus, like freeze-dried the entire, like, I'm not real good at this, don't quote me, but like, I'm pretty sure I've heard there's like close to or over 1,000 Jewish laws. I just don't remember from Hebrew school. It's terrible. But anyway, but they're all freeze-dried and summed up in love the Lord your God. It's a very ecumenical statement. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And when challenged, well, how do you do that? Did he tell them, go to yeshiva or, be the most zealot in whatever religion you're in, whatever that is, Hindu, Islam, Jew, Christian, anything. That's not important. Like, did he say, be the zealot? Love is an emotional issue. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Like every part of you, I love God. I'm made by God. I got to be close to my God. So then, well, how do you do that on earth? How do you prove that? He said, love your neighbor as yourself. And he said, all the commandments that's it, Bhagaboo. Well, he quoted from the Torah and the Haftorah. And like, I think Jesus is astounding. I think Muhammad is astounding. The Hindu gods are like astounding. So the ones that are excessively violent are scare me. I don't doubt them. But every religion, Jews that are the modern day Zionism based in all of God as a God of war. You look at the history of Israel, it's all about that. Always warring. So our half brothers, I think that's the way to look at it. Ishmael and how Islam having greater roots there. And the Hindus, that's strange. Well, I don't really know the actual, I gotta study that, of Hinduism, like Bhagaboo. Anyway, but just God show up with one, and anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, everyone teaches what I call the Nuul, Nuul, which really is the golden rule. But my point back to Israel is that they were always punished for their lack of love, for their lack of care. It wasn't about they broke tithing laws. I mean, it was so pragmatic. Like the point is that they had to keep a tenth of their field, like so anybody could just go into and go eat, whether they were starving or not. That's sacrificial love. And then it was like, well, I want to buy this and I want to get that, and all these other Gentiles, man, they have more fun. And of course, these Jews were also bound by endless laws. But those that love God love the laws because they showed their love by being committed to compassion. And when the Jews got greedy and they didn't help the downtrodden, I mean, I again, I have to look it up. I probably completely off by a book, but I'm going to say Ezekiel. But maybe it's the Kings. But either way, whatever it is, God draws a line for the Jews between stealing and violent stealing. Like stealing, if you need food, like God's not really, that's not a big deal to God. It's a big deal to capitalists. It's a big deal to the golden Kafirs. It's a big deal to the people like me before you, rather than you before me. And so I'm saying that all the religions all teach non-judgmental, uplifting, unconditional love. Newell, the golden rule. That must rule.